Well, I actually like to tell people that the teaching life found me.
I got into teaching because my mother taught for 20 years, 20 plus years, and realized very quickly when I was becoming a professional theater designer and technician that paycheck wasn't exactly going to be consistent.
I started as a foster to adopt worker. It was a great job. I got to facilitate a couple adoptions, and it got tough. So I always came back to, well, I want to be a coach. I really enjoy history, so maybe education is the path I should pursue. So after 4 years of doing that, I got my term certification and became a teacher.
So in college, I was a young life leader and camp counselor, did a lot of stuff at the church, and I really like sports. So I was like, okay, how can I do a little bit of influencing the next generation and be around sports, be around the youth?
I started out as an accountant. I got my MBA. And then a position came open to both coach cheer and teach accounting. And so that was my initial entry into teaching, and I loved it ever since.
I was working for the state and I met a girl who had a twin sister who was a principal, and she was looking for an ESL teacher. And for some crazy reason, she thought I would be really good with this group of kids. And I thought she was nuts. I had studied English literature. I'd done a lot of writing and editing, but I couldn't imagine becoming a high school teacher. And I went in for the interview and actually ended up really excited about just the idea of the opportunity of helping people.
I had a good home life. I was very fortunate to have a mom and dad and an awesome brother. But I also had awesome coaches in my life that added to kind of my experience. And when I went to college, I knew that it's something that I was passionate about and something I really wanted to do to kind of be a positive role model for kids, no matter what kind of home life they have. Everybody needs some kind of stable base. And the main reason I got into teaching is for those kids that maybe don't have that.
I love my kids, all of them, in unique ways. I have different relationships with all of them, but I feel like I have strong relationships with most of them. It's possible to touch every life, but I try my best.
Relationships I have with kids, just the everyday, like seeing the light turn on, making an influence, making an impact. The grind that teaching is, it just works out when you see kids get it and move on and be successful later in life.
But what gets me up is the light bulb moment. I think that's very common with most teachers. When you see a student have that aha light bulb moment of it just figured something out.
Every day is different. I guess the main reason is every day is different. It's a profession that has different challenges and struggles every day. Obviously, it's tough to put a smile on your face every day, but kids need that. There are days sometimes you aren't yourself, but you have to show that life is a struggle, and kids need to learn how to embrace that and move on with it. And so I always try to show up and at least influence one kid a day positively, steer them in the right direction, any way, shape, or form. That's kind of the main driving force, is why I come 7:30 and hang out with 17 and 18-year-olds every day.
Every year, there is a new reason I come back. And I think this year, especially seeing what my students did with the Alice in Wonderland Museum, having that much trust in me and me being able to put that kind of trust in them and seeing what they can do is really exciting as an adult. And I think that having an opportunity to share that with students is really important, and it fills my cup. It makes me feel like I'm doing something meaningful in the world and helping students become adults that will go out into the world and change it and make it better.
I've had two students, they're juniors now. They knew it was my birthday, and my birthday's near Christmas, and at Christmas everyone always gives teachers those Forever Rocher candies. I do not love them, not even a little bit. And so I was telling these two girls that, and so it was the week of the finals, and they bring like a ton of Forever Rochers, and I was just like, oh, thank you. And they hand them to me, and underneath they have a ton of like Reese's peanut butter cups taped to them, which is my favorite candy in the world. And so that was just like a sweet, goofy thing that those girls did for me. And then they ate the gross candy, and I ate the good ones.
4 years ago, the senior class now, 4 years ago, I was their head freshman football coach. And it was just a group of 40 kids, 14-year-old kids. They're all over the place, crazy, rambunctious, and they kind of had a sense of where they wanted to go. And I got to watch them grow from their freshman year to their sophomore year to their junior year to their senior year and just see the transition from where they were to where they got and kind of the men they grew into be. And I mean, I could go and talk about each kid individually, but it's the group idea. And the best thing for that is just coaching, right? That's one example of that, but just through coaching and hanging out with the kids and watching them grow from freshmen to seniors, because freshmen are the unique bunch. Everyone's at that stage. I was a freshman at one point, and see how they mature to where they are their senior year, and the kids that kind of buy into this idea of maturity and understanding what life is all about. That's the biggest impact and the most rewarding experience you can have as a teacher, is to see someone accept the world for what it is and kind of understand what it takes to be a part of society every day. And that group that I had freshman year to this year is probably the biggest example of that.
Well, there's one particular student, she was in my accounting class, and she excelled in the class and even was on our UIL accounting team. She went on to go to business school at Texas A&M. She reached out to me to write her a recommendation and to help her prep for a business position to work at the school at A&M. And she got the position, and she's doing great, and she, just thanked me for, sticking with her with accounting, and that is actually what she's going to pursue now. So,
A real knucklehead about 2 years ago that it was a grind just to get anything done. We got him through though, got him graduated, came back a year later and was just like, thanks for believing in me, thanks for just pushing me every day, like physically pushing this student. It's just good to see like the light flicker on later and come back and successful. So it's perseverance pays off kind of thing.
I had this student, his name was Kyle, and he was one of my best students. Nicest kid, smart kid, one of these Magic the Gathering kind of geeky kind of kids that worked really, really hard for me. But I'm very big on students not horseplay. And I had to use that, you can come in, I had to use that to my advantage when I was trying to teach other kids a lesson. And they were outside in the rain with tools and technology and things like that, all using that stuff to build for a show. It's for Wizard of Oz. And he was horseplaying. He was messing around with tools and pretending to like use a drill gun as just kind of like, just playing with it. He wasn't gonna hurt anybody, but he doesn't know that necessarily, but that wasn't his intention. And because it was raining, because it was slippery, because they had tools, because they were supposed to be working on an ultimate goal of building a set, I told him to go home. And he was like, are you serious? Yeah, go home. And he ended up leaving. Well, fast forward to probably 6-7 years later, I'm here at Dulles, and we are going on a trip, an annual trip to the Thespian Festival in Dallas. And we stop at Buc-ee's, and lo and behold, here comes the manager, and it's Kyle. And he was very excited to see me. I was excited to see him. And he brought that day up, and he brought that moment up of a time that he said that this is what really made me think about, what do I want to do? Like, why am I messing around? I respect you talking to me, and here I am letting you down. And that was like kind of an eye-opening moment for him that really made him think, I really need to kind of shape up and get my act together, or I might be told to go home more often. So it's kind of a long story, but that's one that really sticks in my head. Yeah.
My favorite story about a student was actually a few years back. I had a student named Milton who was not from here and had migrated here, I want to say from El Salvador, and he was working to learn English so that he could adopt his younger brother and bring him over here and basically make a better life for him and his younger brother. And I didn't find out Milton's story until probably my 5th month of teaching him. And it was one of those things when I realized, that he was a 17-year-old about to turn 18 and was trying to get custody of his brother so that he could help him out. Like, how could you not want to help a person like that? And I don't know, for some reason that story has always stuck with me because he was one of my hardest workers. He was very shy, but he worked so hard at learning the English language and passing his STAR tests and graduating at the top of his class. It was, I don't know, one of those really special students that I'll never forget.